Have you ever reflected on the relationship between smoking or vaping and connecting to your breath? After many attempts to quit, Riley finally found his way out of vaping through the power of breathwork. Developing a deep respect and appreciation for his breath is exactly what helped him get to the other side of vaping for good, completely shifting his perspective on who he is. Riley is incredibly passionate about sharing what he's learned along the way. Enjoy his story here on the You Can Quit Smoking podcast. Hey everyone, what's happening? Welcome back. I'm here today with Riley. I'm so excited to talk with him. Seen him on TikTok, has awesome content. So Riley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, and thank you for having me on. Like she said, my name's Riley. I'm 31 years old. I have two kids and a wife, and they are the biggest reason that I quit. I mean, obviously, I believe it's hard to just quit wholly for someone else. Like, you have to want it yourself, and you have to be ready to do it. But they definitely motivated me and pushed me to be in a place to where I was the person who was ready to quit.
I think that's so powerful and motivating that family really can be that for us. So I want to hear more about your story. What's your story with vaping?
I started vaping. I don't really have an age to put to it. Like I try to do that. It's like 16, 17 is around the time when I started smoking. And I'm sure you're familiar with those like blue, the first ones that came out, like the little cigarette things. Yeah, I'd hit those and then they have like the fuses. But when vaping first came out, like, I'm a young kid. I'm a teenager at the time. I didn't smoke, never smoked cigarettes. I had tried like one or two, didn't really care for them. But vaping tasted good, right? And it was like the new cool thing. So I had a buddy who had one. It's just like back in the day, there was like pens. We called them like pens. It looked more like a pen. And started doing that. I remember the first one I ever had was peach rings flavored. And I really loved that about it. Vaped peach rings for a long time. I just thought it was this cool thing. Wasn't even worried about getting addicted to it. I was young and kind of stupid anyway. But I got more and more into it and thought it was super cool because then they came out with like the mods, which is like the bigger e-cigs. And I started building my own coil. So there's this whole culture to it. I mean, I know smokers have a culture too in their own way, but vaping like became like this huge cultural thing when it first came out, like dubstep and vapes. Yeah. Like that was what was going on, And I was all into it. Like I had a social media page actually dedicated to building mods and vaping and make my own juices and stuff. And that page is still live. I like to go back and look at it sometime because like I'm a vastly different person from now and then. But I got really big into that. And then over time, it just kind of turned into this addiction. It was no longer a fun, cool thing for me to do. It was just my daily crutch. It was disposables all the time. If I lost it, I have to get a new one. Like, even though I just bought one, right? I just bought one. I can't find it, but I need one bad enough that I'm going to go buy a new one right now, like another $25 the same day for another one. And then trying to make so that my wife didn't know I spent $50 on e-cigs today. So that's kind of where I got to. And then I tried quitting a bunch of times, mainly just because I realized I was addicted and I didn't really care for the addiction part of it. I didn't like always having to know I could use it where I'm going, right? Like if I go to a movie theater and I was the type of guy I would consider maybe even hitting it on an airplane. And in movie theaters, like wherever I am, I'm going to hit it because I'm just addicted and I'll risk it. Like no one's going to say anything. So it was bad. And I've always had jobs to where I can vape all day. So I was like a 24/7 user of this. And I guess I think it's kind of a significant portion of this that I missed out. So I had used like the little e-cigs and stuff like that when I was younger. And I eventually developed an addiction to harder drugs. So like methamphetamine and like cocaine. Like I was doing that for a while. And then when I quit doing that, that was when I got more into like building the mods and replaced one addiction with another. So vaping became my crutch for quitting the harder drugs. I did notice like over the years when I would attempt to quit using my vape, suddenly like I would have urges or cravings that didn't have for a long time for the other stuff. And I didn't expect that. But that was one of the symptoms. So, I just get back on the vape, and then it wasn't like a huge health thing for me. Like even now, I do think it is unhealthy. I don't think we know everything that it does to you, but like I see a lot of stuff about popcorn lungs. Like people send that to me and I'm like, I don't know. Because there's a big difference. I can feel it when I smoke a cigarette. You know what I mean? I feel that in my lungs. Physical sensation wise, I feel like vaping is sneaky in the sense where it's like, it doesn't feel like it's doing anything to you. And maybe it's not doing as much, but regardless, I feel like the addiction part of it is the bigger thing versus the health, because I've never seen myself as an anxious person. And maybe I was in a denial about that for a long time. Like, I don't like to say like, oh, I have anxiety. And I don't think I did, but like I would have anxiety surrounding my vape. Right? If I'm
Okay,
tearing the
yeah.
house apart looking for it, my wife's like, "What are you looking for?" And I'm just embarrassed to admit I'm an adult just throwing my room apart looking for an e-cig. And it's just embarrassing. So, I mean, I can talk like for a very long time about my addiction. I think that's kind of like a good overview. When I found out my wife was pregnant with our son, I quit. She said, "Yeah, when I get pregnant, you need to quit." So I did quit. And I had quit for 4 months. That was my longest quit besides my final one because I had a bunch of 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks in there. But I think I made it a month one other time just for fun, like kind of thing, like just to prove I'm not addicted. I'm going to quit for a month. And I did it. Then I went back and then I'm like, well, fuck, why'd I ever go back? I should have just stayed quit. But so I,
Yeah.
I quit for 4 months. I was feeling good. I thought I was over it. Went on a motorcycle ride with my brother and a buddy, and he whips one out, and I was just feeling good. And I hit it. Didn't like it. Like it did not feel good. It like made me feel sick, terrible. So then it like had this frustration in me that I wanted to hit it till it felt good because I wanted to get that good feeling. I felt cheated. So I kept hitting it. Then it started feeling good. And then I'm buying my own. So I got back on it. And that only lasted a little while till my son was born. And then that was when I found kind of the breathwork stuff because I had gotten into like Wim Hof during the first quit, the 4 months. And then I paired that and started veering more into free diving, which is funny because where I live, there's like nowhere to free dive. I just wanted to do the breath work to go free diving because my wife's from the Philippines. So we visit there. And I was actually had the pleasure of being there for like 3 months this year. And I did a lot of free diving when I was there. So that was extremely nice. But now I'm back to just doing the breath work, right? So the breath work helps immensely though. I was ready, but the breath work made it so much easier, like surprisingly easier to previous attempts.
So, how did you hear about breathwork? What kind of drew you into that? Because that's not something that people commonly talk about.
So for me, I call myself a hobby hopper.
Okay.
I'll do archery. I love art. Like I just do everything, jujitsu, archery. Like I'll do whatever watercolor, oils. Like I like art. I just hobby hopper, and that's another thing. Like I land on certain things though, right? And like the breathwork was one that stayed. Like jujitsu was one that stayed. Like I love those things. Some of my hobbies stay, and usually the ones that don't cost that much money. And breathwork is free. It's crazy. Breathwork is
Yes.
completely free. So just got into Wim Hof. My brothers and I would just like doing the cold exposure thing. Thought Wim Hof was pretty cool. I mean, it's crazy. Like once you see like what breathwork can do, and for me, like I'm just the type of person who's been interested in doing things like yoga. I like to explore anything I can. But yeah, Wim Hof got me big into it, and then I liked like the long breath holds for me. Just seem like such like next level meditation for some reason. Like when you
Yeah.
start holding your breath, when you hit like the 3 minute mark, you're like, dang, like you're tuned in for a minute, and it feels really good. So then I wanted to push that limit, and that's when I started seeing things about free divers. Like these guys are holding their breath for 5-7 minutes, and I was like, I want to do that. So I got more into that. That brought me to things like the Buteyko method. Then I got obsessed with breath work after I started reading. Wim Hof got me started on it. I did that for quite a while. Then I looked into free diving. Then I found James Nestor's book, Breath. It is such a good book that I got obsessed after that one. And I just wanted more breathwork stuff, more of that. So I read James Nestor's other book called Deep, and that was a free diving one. And I was like, I think I actually like that book more because I was kind of already interested. And I didn't know he made that one, but that was a good one. And then started looking into more and more breathwork from there, from like holotropic breathing. And some of it jives with me, some of it not so much. Like I'm not super into like the woo woo crowd, like I'm a blue collar guy, like, but
Okay.
the breath work works. So I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's not like restrictive. Like it's for anyone who breathes. You don't have to be a yogi to get into breath work. It's meant for everyone. Like pregnant women giving birth have to learn breath work real
Hmm.
quick. You know what I mean? It's like daily life. You are breathing a certain way. You're better off being in control of it, or at least understanding how it's affecting you and like the sensations it's giving your body and like what is an effect of that. Like you feel, oh, I'm anxious for no reason. Well, a lot of people don't even think to consider looking at their breath. Like, how am I breathing right now?
Yeah.
Just something simple like that can be a huge thing. But yes, I think that works wonders for addiction.
So, like, how does the breathwork relate to vaping? Is that why you were interested in vaping? Is because you kind of had that pull towards the breath? It was a way to connect to your breath. I know
Yeah,
it
yeah.
can seem kind of backwards, like an
Hmm.
oxymoron almost, but
Yeah, what's crazy to me that you bring that up is no, I did not think that at all. But a lot of people in the comments on my TikTok videos say that same thing. They say they were only into smoking cigarettes or into vaping because it was like a form of regulating your breath, of consciously breathing. And I'd never even connected that. Like, funny enough, like, Okay, that makes sense. But I did in a way of thinking like breathing can give you these sensations, right? And originally what I thought to doing with breath work was see, hey, how can I recreate that sensation of vaping, right? So I would do some breath holds that would like make me lightheaded, which I don't think are good for you. And I don't encourage some of the things that I tried. Like I might be liable for that if I tell you to do something crazy. Some things I would try, for instance, like one thing that I don't teach, like recommend to anyone, maybe like a close friend, because they're healthy and know what they're doing, like sitting down or laying down somewhere safe. I would do like some crazy long, like torture myself breath holds when I was trying to quit. If it felt hard, when you're going to fail, right?
Yeah.
You start to like accept that you're going to hit it. And then I would just kind of punish myself for getting that close to doing it by holding my breath for a very long time to a point where it's like super uncomfortable, like doing like max breath holds and then starting to breathe again. And like, you're not even thinking about vape anymore at that point, right? Because your body just was like, I want oxygen. And as soon as you start breathing again, you're just happy to have oxygen and you want to protect your lungs because you realize how important they are and how important the breath work is. But also, my theory here, my hypothesis was, hey, anytime my body, like my nervous system, tries to sabotage me and make me quit, I'm going to punish it by making it, have to suffocate for a second type thing. So it's like almost like a Pavlovian trick, like when the bell rings, the dog salivates. It's like, if you give me a vape craving, we're going to kind of be uncomfortable and hold your breath, which I wouldn't like. I mean, I was into breath work, right? I know what I'm doing. And the reason I wouldn't recommend that is because I do think that ultimately using breath work to quit vaping or smoking, whatever it is you're trying to do, I think that it is a great entry and like proof of concept for breath work as a lifestyle. And everyone should do it. But when you're doing like, if you're trying to push your max breath hold time, doing max breath holds often actually hinders your progress because it does show your body that, oh, hey, high CO2 is a panic. Like we should panic about that. Right. So it's actually training your system to have a lower CO2 tolerance. And my goal ultimately is to have a higher one. So that's why I don't recommend it. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's smart for me to do that. And it just kind of shows kind of the unhinged things people can try when we're desperate for a solution to like, we want to quit. Deep down, we want to quit and we're ready. That's how I know I was ready because I was like, I'm not doing it.
I hope today's guest is giving you a new perspective on what is possible. If you want to make sure you never miss a story like this one, take a quick second right now to hit the follow or subscribe button on your app. Not only does it ensure you get a fresh dose of inspiration every week, but it also helps the podcast robots realize the show is worth putting in front of new people who might be struggling. It only takes a second to tap that button, and it really helps us keep this community growing. Let's head back to the episode. Yeah. I think it's interesting that dynamic between pleasure and pain that so many of us that go into addiction have, where it's a very thin line. I am more curious because you hadn't said that you didn't feel any physical side effects of vaping, but then when you had that time that you went back, it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
So do you think that like you just kind of had a baseline of not feeling your best? Because that's when I look back, I just kind of accepted things that I would never accept now, like waking up and coughing for, long periods of time and not being able to fully breathe when I'm walking or hiking or things like that. I just got so used to feeling like that I didn't even really notice until I had quit how much better I felt. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's more of what was going on with you. Did you see a big difference when you did ultimately quit? Did you feel healthier?
Yeah. That's why this is a fun conversation because you are very in tune with understanding this as well, where you have all these insights that in hindsight I realize are true. Like, yeah, I did not realize it because once I started quitting so one of the things I would do was these apnea walks. If anyone's interested in this, you can look up the Buteyko method. It's a way to like naturally to raise our CO2 tolerance. And what happened was my sleep cycle got thrown off really bad when I quit vaping, when I quit using nicotine. I had no problem going to sleep, right? A lot of people have a hard time going to sleep. I went to sleep fine, but the problem was I would wake up at crazy hours, like 2:00 a.m. Then I could maybe go back to sleep. Then I'm back up at 3:30 or 4:30, And I found 1 or 2 days that happened. I was like, okay, this is going to pass. And I just like went back to sleep, but then I'm waking up late, right? And now I don't want to get out of bed because I'm feeling depressed or, down.
Yeah.
So what I started doing is I was like, well, you got to find ways to work with all of these side effects. So when I would wake up at 4:30, you know what? One of my biggest complaints like about myself is like one of my problems is I'm not a morning person. I have a hard time getting out of bed. That's changed since I quit vaping, by the way. So I'm like, hey, I guess I'm just going to be thankful that I'm waking up early and take advantage of this. I'm going to start doing morning walks when like it's peaceful, like I'm usually not up that early. And I'm like, I'm changing, getting past like I'm not a vapor anymore. If I'm going to be waking up, I'm going to do something productive with it. So I went and started doing these apnea walks. And during those walks, I started noticing like I would have a runny nose quite a bit and then like coughing all all the time, like my lungs feel tight. I would get a lot of phlegm. I'm spitting loogies and stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I never had this before, but like I feel like it's like my lungs are starting to heal and kick all that stuff. I don't know scientific, maybe you know, but then I felt the sensations, and then I started noticing like even before I tried quitting, and I would just cut down a little bit, like hey, I'm gonna ease into it, wean off, which never works for me, but I would try repeatedly anyway. Even just starting like lessen my use, I would notice like a tightness in my lungs, like specifically my right side. I would always like, what is going on? And it worried me. After I quit for a while, it felt like that. Like 2 weeks, I would say. I was concerned about how tight my chest felt, but it ultimately went away. And yeah, you're right. I don't think I realized the damage it was really doing. So but it was the same for you when you were smoking, because I felt like if I was smoking, I could feel it. But I didn't
You
smoke
just
for a
get
long
used to
time.
it.
Yeah, like I didn't smoke for a period. That's crazy.
Yeah, you get to accept it. I really like that point in your story when you explain like I wanted it to feel good, because I resonate with that so much. I remember that feeling when you take a break and you go back to it and it feels awful and you just keep smoking until you get hooked. So
Yeah.
it feels good. It's kind of backwards, but we're just so dependent on something that we're used to feel good. And so I want to talk about the anxiety. I think I already have an idea. So I was going to say, how has the anxiety been shifted since you quit? But I know that you have breathwork as an amazing tool. Is there any other tips that you have or things that you've noticed with your anxiety?
I don't think I get it anymore. Like I don't get anxiety anymore. I will feel stress, and like I'm not a psychologist or whatever. The way I differentiate them, like in my own mind, is like if I can identify a specific cause to it, it's not an anxiety. I give it stress. I get a stressful email, something's wrong, or like or a bill comes in the mail, I'm like freaking A. Now I got stress. That's not anxiety, but like to me, the anxiety was the panic feeling of something wrong, something missing, needing something. I don't have that anymore. I feel more confident in myself, and just like I don't need that thing. I'm not reliant on it. And back to your point of wanting it to feel good, it's that point. Like if once you smoke or hit your vape or whatever after a period of time and it doesn't feel good, for me, it almost is like a scary feeling. Like I don't
Yeah.
have that anymore. I don't have that option anymore. That relief is no longer available to me. And that's why it's kind of
Yes.
like a panic for clawing that back and then getting trapped in it again. It's better off just not to go back.
I know it's your body saying, "Hey, this isn't good,"
Yeah.
but your mind can override
Yeah.
it because you can use logic to make anything make sense to us. And so I'm wondering, we spoke on the anxiety. Has there been any other emotional change that you've noticed since quitting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Patience. I'm a lot more patient. I'm less irritable in general. And when I first quit, like that was another major reason I failed to quit. I wasn't successful a lot was because anytime I would try, I'd get extremely irritable. And I start getting in arguments with my wife because she doesn't deal with irritable. Once I'm irritable, she gets irritable. Then we get in an argument. And now I have stress and a perfect excuse to go get another vape. So the irritability was a huge thing for me. But even just in daily life, even if I have it, I was a little more irritable, especially on edge if, the status of it. How's the battery on it? Oh, it just died. Now I'm going to be irritable for a bit and I'm going to be checking it until I can hit it again. So those kind of things, and just more present with my family, not having to worry about it. I can be more present in moments and more engaged.
Yeah, that's the stuff you don't really think about either.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you can't really see it until you get to the other side where you're like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a lot more relaxed. Things are easier now. But yeah, when you're living in it, it's just the normal. So I think that's really powerful to speak on that. And you've had so much throughout here, but I'm wondering, someone that's in it right now, they've tried to quit vaping, they've gone back to it, they're on and off again with it. They can't seem to find a way to get through to the other side. They're stuck in the cycle. What words of advice would you have for them?
I have a lot. So my problem is I need to find a starting point, right? So if someone was listening to this right now and if they can't see themselves being on the other side of it, they're listening to this and they think, well, that could never be me. Or I think the biggest one, and it's kind of a call out thing, but it's like your addiction wasn't worse than mine or isn't worse than mine, right? That's the realness of it. And the only reason I say that is because that's what I told myself all the time. Like, whatever, I have ADD. Oh, this was because it was a crutch from freaking harder drugs. I've been doing this since I was this age. Like people don't understand I can do this 24/7 and they just don't know my personality. Like I am a vapor. I have an addictive personality. First of all, those things are all things that we tell ourselves and identify with. I was that guy. I have an addictive personality and I feel like it's true. I've kind of reframed that though. Like in my own mind, instead of saying I have an addictive personality, I like to say I'm passionate about things and I try to make sure those are the right things. So it's just like telling yourself, I am this, I'm that, get over it. You can change. I've been there. I've been you. You can do it. And it can be like, it's hard, but it's easy. Like it's hard to do it when you don't know what to do. And it's kind of hard to figure out what to do. And I can tell you all kinds of advice, but it's going to really take you to experiment and find out what works best for you. Like the breath work is great and it will make it easier. Ultimately, like identifying your triggers and seeing them coming in advance and being dedicated to the point where you're actually looking for resources and learning. To me, like I always thought quitting means like I just have to stop up by myself and I'm on my own on this and no one can help me because they don't understand me. They don't understand my addiction, but people have been there. Like people have been in it. They've learned things to get to the other side and you should let them share it with you because for me, like I really want to share it with people and I just feel like it's hard to do that sometimes because I think our addictions kind of make us feel like we're alone in it. But yeah, that's my initial advice. Just actually like if you're listening to this right now, then that seems like you're in the right place to do it. If you weren't ready, you wouldn't be listening to this. So if you tell yourself that you can't do it, but you're listening to this, then you're in a much better space than you think.
Absolutely, listening to that call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering, speaking more on the self-talk, do you feel like your self-talk has changed? Like comparing back to when you were vaping?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you talk to yourself differently?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's that like?
This is the biggest benefit to me, okay? With quitting vaping, this was the single biggest benefit. And maybe this doesn't jive for all people, so I'm not trying to sell you on this, but for me, this was like the best thing that happened to me out of vaping. And this is how it completely changed my life. I saw myself subconsciously as a failure for a long time because I try to quit and I fail. I try to quit and I fail. I try to quit and I fail. And I'm a prisoner to this freaking thing that I choose to have. Every single one of those failures reinforces this idea that you're a failure, you're weak, you're not strong, you can't do it. But I personally, like my philosophy is quitting isn't a process. You quit. You're not quitting, right? You've quit. Because like I said, like cold turkey for me, I don't poo-poo on the way like anyone wants to do it. A lot of people find a lot of benefits. For me, it had to be cold turkey. But the biggest benefit was when you quit, you just like shake off all of those failures are gone. And now you feel like a success. Like you replaced all of those failures with a big success and it feels great. And now it completely changes not just like self-talk, but the way you view yourself. Like I am strong enough to quit this. Whatever may be going on, at least I did this, right? I overcame that. Like I overcame something. It's a win. Use that and collect more wins. You see what success feels like when you struggle and fight through something and you stick with it, even though it was so hard, like you succeeded. And now those other failures are not failures. They're just a process, part of the process now to your success, right? And you realize like, hey, one failure isn't the end of me and I can be successful. And you take that whole mentality, like you level up in a way, like mentally. And I want that for everybody who's stuck in it. That feeling. I'm sure you know the feeling. Like,
it's the best feeling. Yeah. It's the best feeling. You said it so beautifully.
Thank you. I love talking about this, if you didn't notice. And it's like, a lot of people don't want to just sit down and talk about this. So it's so cool that you do because it is a huge thing. And people who haven't been there don't realize that. For those who have realized like it is a big accomplishment, even though it's a stupid little pink plastic device. And that was the other thing is I was embarrassed about that a lot.
Yeah, there's such a resilience to it. There's wisdom to it. It really helps us reconnect with ourselves, connect with others. There's a lot of gains that can come from the troubles of addiction, but it's about moving through that to the other side. And I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your journey with us. And how can people get in touch with you?
They can follow me on TikTok. That's like my main platform right now. My handle is at Rydoo, so RYDOO dot real REAL or Rydoo. I don't know how I'm going to say this name. I put my name as Rydoo Kai, but it's kind of funny because I thought it was funny to be Ryduki, you know?
Yes,
but
you tricked me with that one. You tricked me.
Yeah.
It took me a minute.
No,
yeah.
I was like, oh, Ryduki. That's funny. I was like, well, you know, I'm going to split up and make it so it can either be Ryduki or Rydoo Kai. So I don't know. I thought it was funny. But yeah, so you can find me on TikTok there. I'm pretty responsive to people.
Yeah, and you're putting content out there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You're really honest with it. You got a couple skits in there that made me laugh.
Thank you.
And I just really appreciate you doing that work and speaking out about it because people do feel alone. And it's so encouraging to see someone that went through what you are going through and see them succeed and have that vision for yourself. So thank you so much for coming on here and talking with us, sharing vulnerably, speaking from your heart with us. It means everything to me. And I know it means a lot to the audience too.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for doing this too. This is super cool. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. I'll see you next week. Riley opened up today about using nicotine as a crutch to replace other habits. If you know exactly what this feels like, you will definitely want to check out episode 6. Our guest Kathleen speaks about how she clung tightly to smoking after she quit drinking, eventually reaching up to 3 packs a day. Today, her life looks completely different with a prominent focus on nutrition and fitness. Hear exactly how she broke that reliance and made the pivot on episode 6 of You Can Quit Smoking.